What if I told you the world's biggest silver market may not actually have the silver it's selling? And if that's true, the price of silver could explode overnight. This isn't hype. This isn't fear-mongering. These are warning signs hiding in plain sight. Comex, the commodity exchange, is where paper silver is traded in massive volumes. For every single ounce of real silver, dozens, sometimes hundreds of paper contracts exist. Most traders never take delivery. They settle in cash. But what happens if too many people ask for the real metal at the same time? A Comex default wouldn't look like panic. It would look like cash settlement offers, delivery delays, emergency margin changes, contract language reinterpretation. On paper, everything functions. In reality, confidence cracks. Paper silver works because demand for metal stays low. At 5% delivery demand, the system breathes. At 10%, it strains. At 25%, that's no longer trading. That's a run on physical silver. And runs don't need everyone. Just enough people asking the same question at the same time. February the 27th is where pressure begins. Contract positioning, inventory reporting, quiet decisions behind closed doors. If stress appears here, March 3rd becomes the moment of truth. Not because silver disappears, but because paper promises get tested. First, let's be clear. A Comex default does not mean markets shut down, chaos on TV, trading halts forever. A Comex default means the exchange cannot meet physical delivery expectations under current rules. And when that happens, the rules change. If Comex fails to deliver physical silver, the first effects are quiet. Expect forced cash settlements, voluntary delivery delays, emergency margin hikes, contract reinterpretations. On paper, everything looks normal. But confidence is already gone, and markets run on confidence. Here's the paradox. In a Comex delivery failure, paper silver prices may initially freeze or suppress. But physical silver? Premiums explode. Dealers stop quoting prices. Inventory vanishes. Out of stock becomes permanent. Two prices emerge. Paper silver, real silver. And history shows real silver always wins. Bullion banks don't wait for headlines. If delivery stress appears, they reduce exposure, hedge aggressively, exit quietly. Retail investors are last to know. Institutions already moved. A Comex default wouldn't hurt banks first. It would hurt trust in the system. Comex doesn't exist in isolation. A silver delivery failure would ripple through London bullion markets, ETFs, mining contracts, industrial supply chains. Suddenly, everyone asks the same question. If silver can't be delivered, what else can't be delivered? That question spreads faster than panic. Silver isn't optional. Solar energy, electronics, defense systems, medical equipment. A delivery failure doesn't just hit investors, it hits manufacturing timelines. Shortages don't start with empty shelves. They start with missed deliveries no one talks about. Smart money doesn't panic. It secures physical supply, avoids paper exposure, locks long-term contracts, moves before announcements. By the time headlines appear, the opportunity is gone. The only people surprised are the ones watching price charts. And what if nothing happens? Then Comex survives, but weaker. Every stress test teaches the same lesson. The more often physical delivery is challenged, the closer the system moves to its breaking point. Survival doesn't mean safety. It means postponement. Cracked foundation holding for now. Silver light glowing underneath. Metaphorical tension. Let me tell you a completely unrelated story. Imagine a massive data center. Billions of dollars of hardware. Redundant systems, backup power, world-class engineers. And then one day, the entire system shuts down. Not because of hackers, not because of war, not because of demand, but because of a small cooling fan fault. A $5 component. Everything else worked perfectly. Until it didn't. Official explanation? Out of an abundance of caution, systems were temporarily paused. Translation: something tiny failed and exposed a weakness nobody wanted to talk about. That's how complex systems fail. Not with explosions, but with excuses. Now, replace the cooling fan with physical silver. Replace the data center with Comex. Replace the shutdown with cash settlement, delivery delays, temporary rule changes. Suddenly, the story doesn't sound hypothetical anymore. The system doesn't fail because everything breaks. It fails because one small assumption turns out to be wrong. No one will say default. They'll say precautionary measures, temporary adjustments, market stability actions, exceptional circumstances. Just like the cooling fan story. Everything was fine until suddenly it wasn't. And by the time the public noticed, the shutdown had already happened. This is why dates matter. February the 27th builds heat. March 3rd increases load. And if physical delivery demand really jumps towards 25%, that's not a market opinion. That's the cooling fan stopping. Not dramatic, just fatal to the illusion. Months later, reports will say, the system performed as designed. Of course it did. It protected paper. It protected institutions. It protected confidence. Right up until confidence disappeared. Just like every other system that never failed. Big systems don't collapse from big problems. They collapse from small ones everyone ignored. A cooling fan, a delivery clause, a percentage that was never supposed to happen. February 27th adds heat. March 3rd adds load. And if the fan stops spinning, don't call it doom. Call it design limits.